Hey, do you teach yoga? Have you ever trained to lead yoga classes, to be a yoga therapist? Have you ever owned a yoga studio? Maybe even just wondered what it was like for the women and men up there in front of the room on their mats, leading you through endless Surya Namaskars, down dogs, and pranayamas galore? Well, these are their stories, and mine. I'm Rebecca Sebastian, a 20-year yoga teacher, 10-year yoga therapist, yoga studio owner, and co-founder of a yoga-focused nonprofit. I've done a lot in the yoga world over the last 20 years. Pretty much everything except had a water cooler. You know, a place to share stories, talk about struggles, successes, and find other people who do the same thing that I do. Welcome to Working in Yoga, a podcast and substitute water cooler for yoga folks to connect and build community, to share our unique profession, our challenges, and our journeys with the world.
Hey friends, welcome to Working in Yoga. This week on the podcast, I'm talking all about marketing and creativity. There's one thing that I wanted to highlight that my guest, Kiki Burke, says, which is you've got to do the reps. And I've talked about this before in this series about creativity. There are things like talent, sure, I get it. But for the most part, it is getting in the reps of doing a thing over and over again that is what makes you a creative person or frankly an expert at anything. So remember when you first started yoga and you felt awkward and maybe a little out of place and like you certainly didn't know what you were doing, and make that double if you were in a hot class because you were that plus also very sweaty? But over time and classes, you got better. You learned to anticipate the cues and the postures and what comes next. Now, I know that when I had very long-time students in my classes, they could almost anticipate how long I was going to have the class hold a posture. It was like they were in my head. I'd shift the rhythm of my breathing to speak the words, inhaling, let's come up and do the other side. And there would be those students who would know what I was going to say before I even said the words. I'm looking at you, Kathy. I know you're listening. Now, that same ability to be skillful at yoga classes can also be applied to creativity and marketing. You've just got to do the reps. That's how marketing isn't a slog. Doesn't drain your energy and becomes something you're excited to do instead of something you dread. Okay, and speaking of doing the reps, big thanks to our sponsor, Offering Tree, who certainly does the reps of supporting us yoga podcasters in our creative journey. As a teaser, because I love holiday sales, y'all, I'm going to tell you right now that they are running one this year, and there will be more details to come in December. But until then, please remember that supporting local and shopping small can include software companies too. So support folks and businesses with heart so that they can do the reps of supporting us in the industry. And if you would do me a solid and follow the podcast from wherever you're listening, I would be very grateful. That helps tell the algorithm that you like me and then shows the podcast to more people like you in the yoga space. For me, that's the true win. When we come together as a community, we can all shine. Now, let's get into it. A marketing and creativity conversation with Kiki Burke. Hey friends, welcome to Working in Yoga. Okay, so I already just got obsessed with this conversation and the pre-chat. This is my new friend, Kiki Burke. Kiki, will you tell everybody who you are and what you do so we can get into it? I'm so excited.
Yeah, fabulous. I'm so excited to be here too. I know we're already a buzz of things to talk about,
You
right?
totally are. Yeah.
And like I said, shine light on the path. And I don't mean that, in like a cheesy yoga way. Like literally sometimes we just need, the lantern hanging out in front of us on the dark path.
Yeah.
And so my name is Kristen Kiki Burke. I am the original founder of a place called O2 Studio. It's currently called O2 Studio Yoga. And I will unpack with you some of that name nuance even a little bit once we break into it. But so I don't currently own that studio anymore. A student of mine does. But that was, how I first, of course, I first got started with a 200-hour training and deciding I needed to change my life. So, so anyhow, I was originally an elementary school teacher. And then I found yoga and I allowed yoga to work in my own life. And as I learned, I could not help but share it with other people. So I am over 10 years in the world of entrepreneurship at this point. So started a studio, which led to starting a yoga school, which is called Bodhi Academy of Yoga and Wellness. I also am a Reiki master teacher, and so I teach energy work and the therapeutics inside of being a Reiki practitioner for individuals who want to go that route as well. Um, and in recent years, I was actually given some advice from my business coach, who is not in the yoga world, which there's great value in, getting outside the box and
Yes,
putting it back
yes,
into
yes.
your container, right? And a couple years ago, my business coach said to me, let's break down why you love what you do. What are the parts of what you do as Bodhi Academy of Yoga, which, at this point, training, developing, mentoring, expanding professionals in our industry and in essentially the wellness and guidance industry, I guess you could say. That is where I spend a lot of my time right now. Also, the educator piece, I still work with educators in professional development setting. And so my business coach said to me, what are the things that you love to do? And I said, oh, I love building the brand, creating the identity, nurturing the core of a community to be built. Because honestly, any successful business that is about the human interest and about the people is basically a development of a community. And so I said, that's what I love. And she said, okay, you know what? I see where, you have your stressors in what already exists. So she said, slow that down. And what if you helped people do the things that you love?
Mm.
And then Oracle Yoga Marketing was born, right? And so I also do that, and I stand beside professionals and help them find their voice so that they can build their community.
I feel like I want to get closer to the mic, but I'm resisting that urge. I really am obsessed with this idea of intersecting like yoga professional marketing and creativity because, as I said before I hit record, I find marketing to be one of my favorite creative outlets in the intersection of my business, which I also find to be a very big creative outlet. Like, I think marketing is wildly fun and you get to be very obsessed with the people who you're trying to support and what you're building things for. And I just love it so much. Do you? Okay, so I also think that I'm unusual in that thought. Do you find it creative? And do you think that other yoga professionals find it very creative? I already know, I feel like what you're going to say.
Okay. I know it's hilarious. We're far at a distance, and yet we both have this
I,
physical lean in. Like the
I
lean in
know.
is so real, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah, yeah.
got something to talk about, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
this is important.
Okay,
But
hold on. We'll back up.
yeah, right, right. So, the original question, do I so the concept of marketing at all, I think in our industry, in the yoga industry, marketing, again, branding, this concept of developing a community with integrity. I'm going to take it that far. It's
Yeah.
marketing and it's all those things, right? Because
Yep.
marketing is the thread that gets you there to that viable, sustained community,
Yeah.
which is a sustained business. Um, Whether it's you own a brick and mortar or you're a person who is going to various places and teaching or having one place to teach, right? It's this thread is common throughout, whether you understand it and are using it or not.
Yep.
And so again, it's not taught. It's if you are, unless you come from a marketing background, you don't have the skill set. And there are plenty of people out there who are teaching you a quick boot camp, sign up, let me do this for you, whatever. And I
Yeah.
can't tell you how many times, it's a lot. I can't even count it on both hands. How many times I've heard people say, I joined that container. They did,
Oh,
wait, I didn't, I'm not
sorry.
even done. I'm not, that's just
It,
not,
just the word container, and I'm a, like immediately no.
I know, skin crawling, right? Skin crawling.
Yeah.
But no, I joined that container and no one took the time or effort to find out what is my community about, what is my situation.
Sure.
And so then they're like, I went all the way through it. Time, financial, emotional investment, and I come out on the other side more confused than I was in the first place. And so,
Yeah.
and then let's layer in the fact that I'm going to generalize. I think that many of us who are in this yoga therapy, yoga teaching, self journey as leaders in that space, why are we leaders in this space? Because it already affected us,
Yeah.
and so in that journey, there is also this experience of the humbling nature of meeting yourself, right? And doing some unlearning, peeling away some
Yes.
of the constraints. And so when you're in that space, what's left is, well, talking about myself is hard to do. It
Yeah.
like I'm not going to brag. Sure, I just started this business, but I'm not going to brag. Well, no, but if you don't talk about what you're doing, no one knows to come find you,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
so
There
yeah,
is there is a tension there, I think, in this, and part of that is that we conflate ourselves with the work that we're doing, right? So I think it is somewhat healthy and also difficult to separate yourself from the work that you do. So I will say the way that I sort of dealt with that, because I'm like every other yoga teacher, I also don't like talking about myself. I also really like hate that sort of exposing kind of way that you do have to put yourself out there. um I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I just became so obsessed with the people who I was building stuff for that my marketing felt like a love letter to them. It was always like I was just trying to be so obsessed with the people who I wanted to serve or help. In this case, I'm building this out for a digital magazine and I'm like becoming obsessed with my potential readership. Then everything feels so very organic, right? Like I'm just talking to my new favorite people who I've never met. It,
and
like,
so right. So Rebecca, here's the thing: if our friends can only spend a fraction of their time listening to this conversation today, and they walk away with one thing, I hope it is what you just pointed out.
oh, thanks.
And no, and honestly, and so I'm going to repeat it, right? I'm going to reframe it. Packaging is
Yeah,
everything. Um, and that is that the moment that you separate, right? I'm like, it's me, like this is my business, and I put my nest egg into this, and I'm the one who laid the floors, or whatever.
yeah,
Probably a lot of that is true because we're all building this on a shoestring, right? Because again, we get into this
yeah,
because it first helped us.
yeah,
And so, but that's the piece, right? The minute that you catch a fire, you catch a passion for, I'm going to talk about this inside out, upside down, forwards and backwards because I know people need this. That's the moment that hang up of like, well, I don't want to brag, or I don't want to talk about myself, or no one's going to want to hear what I have to say. As soon as it's not about you and it's about those that you're serving,
yeah,
ding, ding, ding.
yeah,
As soon as it's
yeah,
about those that you're serving, it's unlimited, right? And in that
yeah,
case too, then when you're doing your marketing, I mean, read the room, right? If you are putting out branding, imaging, buying ads, whatever you're doing, if you're putting it out there and getting nothing back, change it,
yeah, yep,
right? And it's like, okay, maybe you did Google ads and you need to try going live on Facebook. I don't know.
yeah,
But that's the thing. We can split this many different ways, and it's not the system. It may be your packaging, right? And but then so the parallel side of the street to that is that no one learns how to drive in a parked car. Okay. So
Yes.
you're not going to
Yes.
sit
Yes.
in a
Yes.
parking lot and come up with the most impressive, polished, inviting brand for yourself. Put on a brand and put it to use. When you're
Yeah.
driving the vehicle, that's when you will find out what works and what doesn't.
So some of the threads of the things in the creative conversations I've been having in this series, I actually think the same process is true in your marketing that isn't true when you're a new yoga teacher. When you're a new yoga teacher, you come and you've like a lot of times we've been referencing this idea because we all remember we brought our like little books or like we wrote out our whole thing and we were like, okay, we're going to start with this and then we're going to move to Virabhadrasana 2 and then Trikonasana or however you did it. And that's what you started in the beginning. And eventually there's a moment where you forget your book and you have to become present with the people in the room. And I think marketing is very similar. And that's the point of the creative process, that like iteration of like, you see, my marketing is working. So great, or it doesn't work and I'm going to iterate. How do we become more comfortable in that? Because it feels less about us when we're doing a class than it is when we're doing marketing. Like we feel more exposed in the marketing part. How do we become more comfortable in that iteration or adjustment process?
Fabulous question. So I have listened to the entire series on creativity. So
Yes.
so and so yes, it's so funny and it's been fabulous to listen to other experts in our field speak with you about that moment where you forgot your notebook, right? And
Yeah.
the very first conversation about that, it took me right back to, how did I get to that place where I could walk in the room and say, what do you need today?
Yep.
And I think my personal arrival there is a little bit different because prior to, maybe I was in my 200 hour. I don't remember, it was sometime, but it was fuzzy a long time ago. But I attended a yoga class. I was living in Seattle at the time. It was a yoga class that I would walk to in Queen Anne Hill. And I attended a class led by the studio owner. And I had never followed her classes before. She traveled a lot, so it was rare that she was even on the schedule. And so this was, I was poised for, I mean, I was a sponge, right? Taking it all in.
Yeah.
And also like just letting myself be on my mat and go for the journey
Yeah.
that I was being led on, right? And so this woman walks in and she says, "What do y'all need today?" Right? And it's clear she's been doing this a long time. And that's the thing, right? And overnight success is actually always 10 years in the making.
Totally. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then that's where I'm going to go with this forgot your book thing. It's the reps. Okay. So clearly she's been doing this a very long time, so much so she's so comfortable that she can walk in the room and say, "What do you need today?" And
Yeah.
I remember being a student idolizing that and even saying like, wow, I'll never be able to teach like that. I'll never be that good,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
what did I do? I set up the path for myself to work in that direction, right?
Yeah.
And so, but then we reframe it back to this moment of I'm teaching, I've devised my class, and oh no, my notebook's not here. And they're already on their mats, right?
Yep.
So what is that though? That is a necessary change in how you approach what you're about to do due to a crisis point.
Oh, yes.
You forgot your notebook. That's
Yep.
a problem that
Yeah.
wasn't planned.
Yeah.
Right? So same. The minute that you change your approach to marketing is going to come the day that you invest in a venue and do all your marketing and then you go there again, your time, your emotions, your finances are invested and you flatline. No one's there. I'm not wishing this on anyone, but it's, that's a crisis.
Happens.
It's
Yeah.
how it happens. And
Yeah.
again, an overnight success is 10 years in the making. You have to hit those potholes in order to then navigate and stack yourself in the back so that it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So again, your marketing is your open sign. right? If
Yep.
you
Yep.
are not talking about what you're doing and where you're doing it and who it's for prior to unlocking the door and rolling out the mat, no one's coming,
Yep.
you know?
Yep.
And so that's the thing. How do I get better at marketing? Market. Do it.
Yeah.
Talk about what you're doing. And then
Yes.
you won't need your notebook, you know, because
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't ever done this, but maybe I should do this. I could probably come up with a list of 10 questions that any professional in yoga, in the yoga world, in yoga business, could ask themselves. Again, maybe I'm doing this now because we've
Yeah.
got eye contact. Maybe I'm doing this when we
I'm
hang out.
I'm here for it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, some kind of like a list of 10 questions that you could ask yourself to clarify what is my brand,
Yeah.
right? And then as soon as you know what that is, again, it's not so much, well, I don't want to talk about myself. I'm sure no one wants to hear this. It's no, I'm here for the women who are middle-aged who, you know, they change their career or their kids are more independent or, you know, who are your people? Figure out
Yeah.
who people are and then talk to them, you know? Because here's the thing too, you know, some of your other creativity and yoga pieces have touched on you know, meeting people's needs. And what I see, again, sharp on the marketing side of things, what I see is that currently trending, people are showing up in life and engaging and consuming without first self-checking what is it that I need. So if
Pause.
yeah, so
Yeah.
if people aren't doing that, then by the time you're showing up saying this is what I have to give, there's no connection because they
Yeah.
haven't thought about that.
Yep.
So you as the professional, you can take just 2 steps. You can take 2 steps ahead of them and fill that gap, right? Describe for them. If this is you, you may need this. Guess what? I'm
Yeah.
providing this,
Yep.
you know? And so, but again, how do you know that until and unless you think about what is it that I want to do? And you know, we're about to circle the drain right here. No, I'm just kidding, but
But I mean, you've said something that's really, I think, important, partially for several reasons. One of the things that I think people need to hear, number one, is that when you start marketing your business and say, this is my beef with niches in general, and I know all you people who were
drain,
told
drain.
were told that we're all supposed to niche down, and I love all of my friends who specialize in training people how to do that. I can't express to you how much I have fought that in my own career to my benefit. Because I think that we have this idea, first of all, that you pick something, you pick one group of people that you're going to market to, and now you're married to them for life. Now they're like going to be at your funeral because you're going to be there forever. You're now the person who's the, chair yoga for people over 85 person for the rest of your life. That's not true. And we also get in this idea that somehow, like we get in our own way with the marketing, somehow in the ability to say, this is who I am now and forever. And you forget to actually take into account, especially social media marketing, the people on the other side who are consuming. How are they consuming? How can you get ahead of what they're consuming? I hate the term pain point. I don't know how you feel about pain point, but I think it makes a lot of us feel gross. How do we reframe this for our listeners so that they can have a more positive experience in their marketing? How can we make it so that they're creative instead of stuck in a niche or in trying to exploit people's sadness? It's true. That's marketing 101, exploit people's sadness.
Face to hand. I can't even. So, okay. I'm going to split this conversation. I said I'm circling the drain, right? I knew we were going
Okay.
here. I'm going to split this conversation. We're going to fork in the road. There's 2 pieces. So, I have forever been anti-niche, forever.
Yes.
I have paid people to coach me and tell me what to do. And when they say, well, you just need to niche down, do one thing, I'm like, thanks for the advice. And I'm over here doing five things. Like also, I'm like the
Yeah.
epitome of ADHD. This is who I am. This is how I'm showing
Yeah.
up in the world, And so I'm not niching down. And so I was going to tell you right back to my original studio brand, right? So as far as people who are marketing themselves and this complex of do I niche, do I not? I am going to tell you that you're not, none of us are for everyone. Everyone
Yep.
needs yoga, and yet you are not going to connect with everyone.
Yep.
So if you get clear about your brand and who you want to serve, I'm not saying pigeonhole, right? But if you get clear about this is who I am, for both of us, we are clearly the black sheep, right? I am
Yeah.
not going to niche. I'm not going to niche, and I'm going to go ahead and say that's who I am.
Yes. I love that for you.
Right. But so if you get clear about who it is that you are willing to connect with, you can be wise about your brand inside of that, right? So when I truly did manifest my first yoga studio. And when I was, it was like synchronicity, alignment, hand of God, all the things, okay? But as I was coming around on
If you're a yoga professional, whether you run a small studio, teach classes, or offer yoga therapy, and you're ready to grow your business, but aren't sure of the next step, I have a free resource just for you, my friends. Offering Tree Studio Success Checklist is a proven roadmap designed to give you clarity. This isn't just for big studios. You can be a solo yoga therapist or launching a small community studio or focus on just selling specialized workshops. But this checklist simplifies everything. It covers tasks from creating a budget to building your class and offering schedule to planning and launching events. Plus, Working in Yoga listeners can still enjoy 50% off their first 3 months or 15% off your full first year on Offering Tree's business software. Download the checklist and access your discount in the show notes or at offeringtree.com/working in yoga.
I'm going to call my business O2 Yoga Studio or O2 Studio. It was because why? Well, because in my personal life, my first teaching job was in Chicago, and as an undergrad, going and looking for a job, I actually had what's called sudden onset anxiety. I mean, I was like in university, I was the president of my sorority, like carrying weekly meetings for 120 people, no big deal. And then I go have a job interview and I passed out from anxiety, fainted, passed out, crumbled to the floor.
Oh,
Crazy. And
yeah.
again, like that's never happened before. So, like out of body experience, having a rub, again, it's a point of crisis.
Yeah.
So then I come up with a solution, right? So in that space, then I found out that I could beat my anxiety with breathing. Then
Yeah.
later, I'm in yoga training. We're talking like 10 years later, I'm in yoga training and I find out, oh, pranayama. Oh my gosh, there's a reason
That's
why
the
it's
thing.
working,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So duh, O2, oxygen, breathing.
Yeah.
This is my story, right? But
Mhm.
so inside of creating that brand, I was like, okay, I don't want it to be too feminine. I don't want it to be too masculine. I don't want it to be just yoga. Right? And so look at me buffing every possible corner they could stick me in.
Yeah.
And then so my studio when I first opened it in a very small town in central Washington. And to the point where I had people coming to me saying, "Why would you open this business here? Like why do you think people here so conservative?" Which how many people can we reach out metaphorically, side to side and touch who are choosing to be yoga leaders in small communities.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. Lots, lots and lots.
Yeah. And so, I know other people have that same probably experience or can relate to that, I'm in a really small town where others would say the deck is stacked against me and I'm still doing this, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. So, right, I'm going to do all I can to not end up in a niche. I want to appeal to everyone because I know everyone needs this.
Yes.
And then no one learns how to drive in a parked car. So by driving my vehicle of my new business in a small town, honestly, the community showed me what we see you as is a
Yeah.
yoga studio,
Yeah.
right? So by the
Yeah.
time the current owner of that business, by the time she became the owner, she said, well, O2 is where my yoga journey started. I can't see myself
Yeah.
being a yoga teacher without calling it O2. Again, look at the strength of that brand,
Yeah.
right? And she said, but my business, we have a brand deal between us, so that she can continue to use my brand. And she said, but my business is O2 Studio Yoga, which, so 10 years later, the community has identified this is a yoga studio. If I
Yeah.
want yoga, that's where I'm going. And so that's where, that niche fits and it fits and it works, right?
Yeah.
But so, okay, so the one positive, again, I've been buffing this for more than a decade, this concept of niche down and do one thing. But again, my business coach, same one who said, you know what, go show people how to build a brand in a community. She is not in the yoga world, right? And so what she taught me about niching is she said, if I do one thing and I do it well and I show the world this is who I am, right? Then as I get the reps, as I do the work and I'm really good at what I do. So if I have this nucleus, it actually reminds me of your logo, right? If I have this nucleus of what I do, that will create ripples.
Yeah.
And in the ripples, people in the periphery, whom I'm not saying, hey, I'm for you, right? I peel
Yeah.
my energy back and I say, I'm for this. And as I continue to do what I do and speak confidently about what I do, the ripple effect, other people who don't fit inside of this will say to me, hey, I want what you're doing too. You do fit for me.
Yep.
And
Yep.
this is where she has a yoga professional saying, I want your advice. I don't want to work with anyone else. I want you.
Yeah.
You're the best at what you do. And so in that way, it's like, okay, possibly niching, being smart about your brand enough
Sure.
to focus your energy and become an expert on what it is you're doing and who you can serve without limiting yourself. Right? Like that's the thing. If you're like, okay, I'm a hot yoga teacher, all I do is hot yoga. Well, do you have the capacity and the skill set to also teach room temperature yoga?
Right.
You do have it,
Of
but are your
course. Of
are your
course.
blinders on
Yeah.
that all we're gonna do is hot? And that's the thing, right? So how do we evolve? You hit that crisis point. Okay. So the person who's a hot yoga teacher and her bills are astronomical because she's got the heat on 24/7 and she's only going to appeal to a certain number of people. Okay. So when she can't pay her bills, she's going to start offering warm yoga. She's going to
Yeah.
evolve because she's driving the car and
Yeah.
she's hit a roadblock.
And that's an inherently creative process, that evolution is in it's interesting. One of the things that I'm obsessed with what you're saying, because I say that a lot of times to yoga teachers, is that if you want to make money, you have to build skill set. And building skill set is essentially what you're saying. You have to do the reps. Creativity is the same way. If you want to be a creative person within the yoga framework, or you want to be a creative marketer, it is just building the reps. One of the things in this Facebook group I run, I put up one of my original things I made on Canva for my studio in 2019. And a lot of people were very generous and they were like, it's so cute. And I'm like, oh, but if you could have seen how I was at the end, like I put up something at the beginning, knowing at the end with the reps, I had improved the brand to be like really targeted at what I wanted to do. And that was both creative and just a skill set build. Like you just have to do it over and over and over again.
Right. Well, and I would say, look at your brand today versus then, which that was 2019, which actually in the broad spectrum of life was not that long ago.
Nope.
Right. And so, but that's the thing. If back in 2019, you entered into I mean, that's the thing too. Those of us who are choosing to be in the business of yoga, we are constantly producing. It's
Yeah.
not just I
Yes.
love teaching yoga and I'm good at teaching people. You have to produce the experience for everyone. And this is the thing too, right? So when you think about when you have a need and you recognize you can't fix it yourself,
Yep.
who are you going to go to? You are going to look for someone who has their shit together. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that,
Absolutely, you are.
but truly, like you are going to say, okay, she knows what she's doing, or he is on point. I'm going to go follow him, hire him, listen to him, whatever. Right? So if you back in 2019 said, well, this is good, but, it's a little clunky. Back in 2019, you
Yeah.
were like, this is great. People need this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing too, right? So you do have to be polished. You have to have your shit together
Yeah.
because there are gobs of people out there walking the streets who know that their shit is all over the place
Yeah.
and they're looking for someone who's just marginally more together than
Yes.
they are.
Oh, okay. So I have to tell you the story because I feel like you're going to appreciate it. So as we were talking before, I'm building a new brand for this digital magazine, and as I'm essentially building the brand book and like an editorial like spread, like how my visual point of view is going to be. One of my parameters is that it can't feel like you're wearing pants that have elastic at the ankles. And it's just this like it's like a touch more because it's such a beef of mine in the yoga space is that people will show up in a professional capacity wearing pants that have elastic at the ankles. Like I don't care if they were $200 from Lululemon, they still have freaking elastic around your ankles, and that says something about your professionalism that I want to be that half a step above. And I think like, is it funny? Yes. Is it smart ass? Yes. But also it sets the stage for being like, I need to show up professionally in a way that has like it literally is a metric that I track is the elastic around the ankles in your pants metric. Because
Well,
I
that's
do think,
today, just so you know.
I mean, nobody sees your pants here. Like
Well,
it's an energy, right? It's like a shift up of like how you show up.
totally. And that's what I'm saying. If you are polished, if you are slightly more
Yeah.
polished than the lady who doesn't know which way is up today, she's
Yeah.
going to look at you and say, how'd you get there?
Yep.
All I'm asking is that when you recognize, hey, because that's the other thing too, right? That confidence piece of like, do I even have what it takes to go teach, right?
Yeah.
What's the phrase? Like imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
right? So many people who have authentically allowed yoga to serve and touch and heal and change, whatever word you want to use, them they're paralyzed with perfectionism or imposter syndrome. And
Yes.
so they absolutely have it. It's like you just know when somebody has
Hmm.
it, right?
Yeah.
And they have it, but they're not letting themselves reach behind them to someone who's two steps behind, that light on the path, right?
Yep.
Think, hey, this way, just take two steps this way, you know?
How do they start? Okay, so let's say somebody's listening to this and they say, okay, so I know I need to get myself out there. I know for a fact 90% of yoga professionals in general have that thought all the time of like, I need to get myself out there more. How do you start? And how do you start in a way that makes it feel fun and creative versus like a chore, an obligation, and like walking naked in the town square?
Totally. Um, Well, again, it's the reps. I mean, literally, we
Yeah.
could weave this into everything, right? You have to
Yeah.
do things. So what I tell students who are my students who want to be professionals, the first thing is you find someone low hanging fruit. You find someone who already believes in you, thinks that you can't do anything wrong, and you're going to say to that person, "Hey, I need to practice teaching yoga. Can I practice with you?"
Yep.
Right? I mean, it's crazy. It's definitely a core memory. It's like in my mind like it was yesterday. I opened my studio. I was pretty new to being a certified yoga teacher when I opened my first studio. I was not new to teaching or new to even talking body work, body movement, right? I had been doing that for
Sure.
a while before I chose to go all the way in on yoga. And so I had some skills that say a fresh 200 hour wouldn't have, right? So,
Yeah.
and again, I manifested it. It was aligned, it happened, the doors kept opening, I kept asking questions, the answer kept being yes, so I just kept stepping, right? And like you, I was so laser focused on I know there are people who are just past doing this who
Yeah.
need this. I'm doing
Yeah.
this for them. I never
Yeah.
was like, this is my thing.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal path. But so the very first, so I'm like painting walls, getting mold out of an old building. Like literally, people came to look at this space where I was like, I'm going to open a yoga studio there. And they were like, turn around, run away, never look back. And I was like, nope, I already see it. There's already mirrors on the wall. This is it.
Yeah.
This is our home, right? And so I'm doing all this work and I'm also like, well, and people are going to be coming soon, so I need to practice teaching. And my friend, whom I had be my front desk manager, sort of, when I first opened, she was not into yoga. She had just had a baby. I said, you know what? We're here in this studio. There's a mirror on the wall. The floors are filthy, but let's roll out some towels. Let me hold your baby and let me teach you.
Yeah.
Like, and I had
Yeah.
to beg
That's
her,
how you
let
do
me
it.
teach you for 5 minutes.
Yep.
Because you have to do it. That's how you do it. That's how you get there.
Yes.
So for someone who, let's say they're already certified, they know that they have the skill, they have already proven their understanding, and they're paralyzed, right? Whatever it is that's holding them back, they're being held back. I would say find that one person or two or three people, right, whom you can start to teach to, and then go to, and this is honestly too a good growth strategy for someone whose business already exists. Go to groups that already exist. Whether you go to the high school athletic department or the dance studio or a church and say, hey, you have women's groups or you have Bible studies. Could I offer this group of 15 people who already like each other? Could I offer them a class?
Yeah.
You know, and then that eliminates the need for you to spin your wheels around one by one, which one by one they come, but you know,
Yeah.
one by one, putting yourself in the space of I can't even get five people in the same room, you know?
Yep.
Then also, by the time you're teaching one and two people, there's often conversations among studio owners around, well, do I cancel class if there's only two people there?
Never.
Never, never, never.
Never.
And here's the thing, teaching two people is harder than teaching 22 people. You are going
Facts.
to become a better teacher by showing up to those two people. And you know what I say? For those of you who are wondering how to handle this, because a lot of times it's the teachers, right? The
Yeah.
teachers are like, there's only three people there. What do I do? Right? When I have a class and one or two people or three people, it's your lucky day. You're getting a semi-private session today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
look at how the words and the packaging again, this is marketing. I've just packaged that to be a higher value experience.
Yeah.
And oh gosh, it's just you and Sally today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and that I think also is true when you're marketing yourself online too, because I think a lot of people market and then you get like two likes, and the likes I think are equivalent to like the people in the room, you have when you're a teacher. Yeah, guess what? If there are only two people following your things, you get really skillful really quickly at talking to those two people who are interacting with your content. And I think that is another nice reframe of that experience because it gets very mindset is a thing here, right? Like people get in their heads of like, nobody sees my stuff, nobody wants to hear from me.
Right. Well, and though it's a long game.
It
It's a
is a
long
long
game.
game.
And
Yep.
that's the thing. So you have two people like your stuff, but your stuff still exists and it keeps circulating.
Yep.
And if the two people who like your stuff, here's a little back end on building the know, like, and trust factor, right? By
Yeah.
marketing yourself online. If there are two people, let's say Sally and Patty like your stuff. Well, if Sally and Patty keep going to lunch on Friday afternoon saying, I've been doing yoga, I feel so much better, my back pain's gone, I'm sleeping better, and Sally and Patty have five other friends that they go to lunch with and who keep hearing this story. And then all of a sudden, on their five friends scroll is your brand and your voice. And then they go and look and see, oh, well, Patty's already following her. Your value has just increased in this other
Yep.
person, stranger who's never seen you before
Yep.
in their eyes. And that's, I mean, honestly, building a brand, marketing yourself, growing your community is like conducting a symphony. All of these layers play
Mm.
together
Yeah.
to create, you know, and honestly too, I would say I would tell this too to someone who's like, where do I even begin? I would say, especially speaking about marketing and growing your brand, okay? On the one hand, you're going to start it and you're going to do it. Go ahead and download Canva and pick your five favorite colors, and that's your brand, and you're going to use it. And when it's not working for you, that's when you change, right? You
Yeah.
evolve.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I would say take 90 minutes, first thing in the day. Take 90 minutes, set a timer. If you have to go be at work at 8 o'clock, you're going to start waking up at 6:30, 6 or 5:45, so that
Yeah.
you can give yourself 90 minutes before the rest of the world needs you for 90 days. Okay.
Mm.
From right now, that's going to put us in the beginning of 2026.
Yep.
But if you put your head down 90 minutes first thing in the morning for 90 days and you work on your brand and you talk about what you are offering the world and who you're trying to reach, and you have to publish something, start the page, open the
That's the
Instagram
game.
account, start, 90 days from now, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, well, yeah, here's my people. At that
Yeah.
point, you're probably not going to have 100,000, but you might have 10 or 30. Here's my people. And I don't know what I was ever scared of.
Yeah.
It's the reps.
It is the reps. Yeah. I mean, I think that's really true in that discussion of all things, right? Clearly with yoga teaching, but also with the creative process in general. Like, because what you're describing is essentially like morning pages, but for your marketing, is that you're getting up. And if you haven't ever read that book, I'll link it in the show notes of like the artist's way and doing morning pages. But it's a like encouraging you to build, you're flexing a creative muscle, and marketing is a creative muscle. So you just have to learn how to flex it.
Right, absolutely. And so that's the thing, right? So I say, okay, go start it. And if someone's listening and they're like, it's like makes your skin crawl. Like, I don't know how to talk about myself. I wouldn't know where to begin, right? Then
Yeah.
go find a class, follow someone, talk to someone, look at, again, who is out there who looks like they have their shit together.
Yeah.
Go watch them for 2 weeks but then don't fall into the trap of consumption, right? Because while
Yep.
you are consuming, you are not producing.
Yes.
But if you don't have the skill, find someone who does. And that goes for all parts of yoga business.
Yes.
If you don't have the skill of setting up your scheduling system, you're going to hire someone who does. If
Yeah.
you want to start teaching restorative practices, but you're a hot teacher, you're going to hire someone who already is very good at teaching restorative practices.
Yep.
Right? So the same is true of your marketing. And my favorite way to sit with people and work with people in their marketing is really, and again, I was first elementary school teacher, right? So it's the concept of I do, we do, you do. I'll build
Yeah.
your brand for you. I'll show you what's important. Then we'll do some together. We'll share it. And then I'm going to hand it back to you.
Yeah.
Because also, there's not enough money in anyone's yoga business to hire me all the time to keep it going all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, right? You learn by driving the car.
Yeah.
So, when I first started working in marketing, I thought I could do this for people. And what I found out by driving the car is that people either can't afford or don't want to afford to have me carry them all the time.
Yeah.
I can't afford to do it for less than what I'm charging. I'm already charging less than the container.
Oh, the container.
Right.
It is that I love that you brought that up, because I too have heard so many yoga teachers go into something like a container or a cohort, and they go in and they say, okay, so I was supposed to learn how to build, my online course through, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, so they told you to do a free lead generator that got you into the email list. I was like, this is 5 minutes. Go on ChatGPT. They'll teach you how to do it. Go talk to somebody who actually has built a business, and built a business that isn't selling stuff to coaching other people how to do a thing, like actually built something.
Right. Well, and you just opened up another avenue, right? You don't know how to do it? Google it.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a book, I read it a long, long time ago. I think it's called Girl Wash Your Face. Whoever wrote the
Oh,
book about washing your face, right?
yeah.
She I don't know what her first avenue of her career was, but then I think she decided she wanted to be an event planner or a wedding planner or something like that. And so she totally switched gears and went the other direction. And she said, was I trained in that? Did I go to college for that? No. But there's not anything you can't learn in Google at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
Fact.
and so if you don't have the money for it, okay, what you do have is time, right? You're
Yeah.
either going to invest time or money to get better at this skill so
Yeah.
that you can build a community. But here's the thing, if you're not talking about what you want to offer people, the world doesn't know to come find you for it.
Yeah. And that's sad. We want the world to come find you so you can do the good
Absolutely.
work you want to do. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Kiki, will you tell everybody how to find you?
Yeah, the best way to find me would be to go to my website, which is Bodhi, Bodhi, well.com.
B as in BE or B just the letter B?
So like the letter B, Bodhibewell.
Got it. Thank you so much for this conversation. I really loved it. Thank you so much for your expertise, Kiki. Here are our key takeaways. First, marketing is an inherently creative act. Solves a problem, both for you and the customer. And getting excited about the people you're talking to in your business is such a sweet and rewarding process. So get innovative and have fun with your marketing. Your business will thank you. Next, I don't think we've ever said this right on the podcast, but honestly, as a service, I think that we should. If someone offers to enter you into their quote unquote container for a fee, make sure you've checked twice, 3 times even. Make sure that what they're offering you is actually what you need and people have gotten results from it. Be Santa's more obsessive older sibling, because I'm going to be honest, I have rarely met someone who was in a container of coaching, for instance, the training or a program, that came away thinking they actually got value. Next, we've talked before on this series about separating yourself and your self-worth from what you're creating. Now, this is incredibly difficult to do. And while I think I've learned this lesson, honestly, about 1,000 times, it seems to always pop its head up to remind me that we have to build things for the action and satisfaction of building them, not for that internal or external validation that we may or may not receive as a result. So in your creative marketing, don't be afraid to try things out. Track if they work, and iterate and shift as part of the process. It isn't something that's wrong with you. That's just how things are created. Next, I feel really strongly that why we don't resonate with marketing terms in yoga is because of jargon like quote unquote pain point. We are, on the whole, a really ethical group of professionals, and it doesn't feel good for us to figure out what causes people pain and then choose to exploit it, which is frankly marketing training 101. So let's reframe. What marketing is a creative act of connecting with your favorite audience, figuring out what they need help with, and then helping them. It is the same concept, framed in a less exploitive way. And I know I don't have to tell y'all, intention matters. Next, anti-niche. Okay, I am so glad that Kiki is someone else who doesn't easily respond to the niche talk. Now, especially if you're online only, you might need to consider it. But for the most part, we tend to be generalists of all kinds in the yoga professional space. We teach classes, we do privates, we do trainings. Maybe we're yoga therapists, but we see all sorts of clients. Often our jobs are a patchwork of several things. And I'm going to say, I think that's just fine, especially if that's how you pay your bills. I took a survey a while back in the Facebook group that I run. It's called The Future of Yoga Therapy. You're invited, even if you're not a yoga therapist. And a good 75% of the respondents, almost all yoga therapists, had said that they consider themselves generalists. So I promise you, you're in good, educated, professional company. And finally, you have to do the reps. I said this in the intro, but I do really mean it. You've got to practice marketing and being creative over and over again until it gets easier. If you need creative inspiration for the rest of the year, try running a creative streak where you commit to doing something creative. Paint, write, market, vision plan your business, sing, play an instrument, whatever you want, every day for the next 42 days. Keep that streak alive. Even if you only spend 5 minutes being creative, put in the reps. I promise you, it does make a difference. Okay, next week on the podcast, I have Carol Rossi on, and she was such a delight to connect with in this series. Carol comes from a tech and corporate background, and we get into the creative aspects of research and business. Oh my gosh, y'all, I nerded out so badly in this conversation, but I cannot wait for you to listen. Until then, my friends, I am so grateful truly for your time and attention. Let's go get to work, and I will catch you around the water cooler next time.